Okay, hi, my name is Catherine, and the purpose of this video is to talk about mental health and my story with mental health. And that really all started back in 2018, August of 2018. And it started out with me talking with a friend late at night, and I told them, I was like, I'm sad all the time, like I'm crying, my energy is really low, and I kind of jokingly said, like, I might be depressed. And they were like, oh. And they didn't really know how to respond to it, and I don't think they really knew much about it either, kind of like me. So things kind of progressed really quickly after that. I went to a crisis center and got evaluated, but at that time I was not self-harming or actively suicidal or anything. So they just kind of sent me home and said, get some help, get some therapy and a doctor who can prescribe you meds and go from there. So I did, and I started weekly therapy, and I started seeing a doctor who prescribed me some medication, and which were antidepressants. It took me a while to find the right drug combination of antidepressants, and it definitely did not happen right away at all. I had really bad side effects to some of them. Some of them just made me feel really sick and like I had the flu almost, and then coming off of some of them you get withdrawal symptoms, and even though I wasn't like abusing them or anything. And that was really difficult. I'd never experienced that before. And then in December, I had lost a friend, and that hit me really hard. And they said some things to me like, you're worthless and you were a burden to me, because I had heavily relied on them for support through what I had begun to go through. And hearing that and already and becoming suicidal at that time, like, that did not help me. It didn't. It made it so much worse. And like the fact that I still remember that to this day, it really hit me hard. And going into January of 2019, I hit it rough. It was really bad. Crying all the time, being suicidal almost constantly, thinking about it. And eventually I told my therapist about it, and I wasn't joking about it anymore. And she said to me, I don't feel comfortable sending you home. I think you need to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room, and the nurses were very nice, and they got me back there pretty quickly. And it ended up being that they evaluated me through a telehealth system and decided that what would be best for me, and really the only option, was to send me to an inpatient hospital, where it's an inpatient mental health hospital. So everybody there has mental health problems, and you're monitored 24 hours a day. So it was a big adjustment going there. And I was admitted on January 17th at 5 a.m., I think. I ended up not getting much sleep that night. Wake up was 7:30, and you had to be out of your room at 7:30 if you wanted to get breakfast. And I was so tired and so scared even. I had never been really with no access to anything. You can't have your phone, you don't have access to the outside world at all. You don't have internet. You don't have anything. You just have the people within the facility. And I was really lucky to have a really good roommate who only came in a few hours before me. And she was really nice. And we really bonded over that. And her background was really different than mine. She was her family, was financially struggling. She said this was the only hospital that would allow her because she didn't have insurance. And for me to hear that as somebody who's always had insurance and never really had to worry about money, that was really different. I had never thought of it, from the other side because I had never had to worry about it. And so hearing that, it hit hard, and I felt really bad for her. And she kept saying, I need to just get better and suck it up because my parents are paying for me to be in here and I can't be causing them this financial burden right now. And for me, I really just enjoyed my time in there. I did. It was a break from social media. It was a break from the outside world. The second quarter for the school year had just finished of my sophomore year, and I really needed a break from school, from people, and I was so overwhelmed. And I think that really attributed to me becoming so suicidal to the point where I ended up in the hospital. I made some really good friends there, and you're not really encouraged to make friends in there. But I made this one really good friend, and I hope she's seeing this right now because I know we haven't talked in a while. But Erica, I still miss you. You are so amazing, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Just finding somebody that shared what was going wrong and understood finally what I was going through really was helpful. And I'll never forget that. When I got out of the hospital, things were really different, and I ended up going to a PHP program, and that stands for Partial Hospitalization Program. So I was no longer in the hospital, but I was still receiving that care, that level of care that those in the hospital do receive. And that, I had never been in that type of program, didn't even know it existed. I ended up going into that program twice at the same location. By summer 2019, I was doing a lot better. I was not self-harming as much. I actually stopped self-harming either that June or July, and I actually went 6 months after that without self-harming, which was something I never thought I could do because there was a time that I would self-harm every single day, multiple times a day, and I had to do it. I felt like I had no other choice. And to hit a really good patch where I got my license, I got my braces off, I started my junior year of high school, that felt really good. And it really was good until January of 2020. Something happened between me and another person, and I'm not gonna say much about it, but I did not want it to happen, and there are being steps taken to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But that really threw me off, and I started self-harming again a lot, and to the point where I was using anything I could find to self-harm. And with self-harm becomes depression, and with depression comes suicidal thoughts. And I really fell back into that pattern again, and it felt really bad. I felt really disappointed in myself because I felt like I had let it happen again. Like it was my fault somehow. And I know it's not. And that's what everybody tells me. But you just always feel like it's your fault. Coming back to where all this happened recently and to the present, it's been really difficult recently. It has. And you know, we've had to change my meds. I went back into IOP, which is intensive outpatient. It was an after-school program, and that, you know, affected things like my work and my schedule, and I couldn't do extracurriculars after school, and that really bummed me out. But hey, we have Corona now. So that doesn't really matter anymore, but with the extracurriculars part. But coming back to now, I think the whole point of me making this video was really just to share my story and let others know that they're not alone and feeling like this, and that, you know, others are going through it too. So if anybody feels like, you know, that they're alone, like, I'm here to listen and to tell you that, you know, you're not alone. So thank you for watching. If you got to the end of this, I know it's pretty long, but I really appreciate anybody who got to the end of this and everybody who watched any part of it. So thank you.